advantage of becoming human beings. When you compare human life with all the other existing living beings, the whole universe, human beings have more potentials, talent and intelligence. But unfortunately, there are certain evil forces in the mind which interrupt or disturb the humane qualities or virtues. Therefore, some people abuse that valuable human life. The Bodhisattva, Buddha to be, was in one of the heavens in his previous birth. So all the other devas, by realizing the situation here in this world, invited him to become human beings, depart from this heavenly realm and to be born as a human being, to become a Buddha. So this clearly shows a deva or a supernatural living being or God cannot become a Buddha, because these potentials in human minds are more advanced among the human beings than the other living beings. Others are fortunate enough to experience more worldly pleasures. But this worldly pleasure means to an end. That means there is a limited period for that. After that, there is no guarantee about their fate or destiny. Again, there are very unfortunate living beings who do not know anything about their life and how to cultivate their way of life and how to mold their future life. That is why we regard them as unfortunate. We human beings are very fortunate because we can understand. If we really handle this human life without misusing or abusing, life after life, we can go higher and higher and higher until we attain the final goal. But other living beings are in the dark. Animals, those who are in the spirit forms or ghosts or devils, have no chance to cultivate their life. Devas enjoy their worldly pleasures. They have no time to think about the spiritual development. Even amongst human beings also there are many rich people who have more than enough property, money and income. They have no time to attend any religious services or to contemplate for the spiritual development. Now there are 10 kinds of advantages of becoming a human being, by becoming a human being. In the Buddha's teaching, very highly appreciated and highlighted human life to show us that it is far superior to any other living beings, because only human beings can gain enlightenment by using that human mind. That is why I told you potentials are there, but due to our ignorance and temptation we misuse. Then we have to pay the consequences for the evil deeds, evil thoughts, evil words that we have used by abusing our human life. When some of those devas are going to die or depart from Devaloka, the heavenly realm, some of the devas who can understand things properly remind these departing devas, ito bho sugating gaccha. After your departure, after your death, you must go back to the human world. But they use the word sugati. Sugati means heaven. They regard this human life as heavenly life by considering the human intelligence or talents and various potentials. Even the king of the Deva, Sakra, respect those who lead a peaceful, respectable, virtuous, righteous or religious life. Devas pay their respect not only to the monks, even lay people. So they really appreciate human life. When they had so many problems that they could not settle or they could not understand, they had to approach the Buddha. There is one particular book which is called Sangyutta Nikaya, Sutra Pitaka. One big chapter is there which is called Devata Sangyutta. The discourses or the dialect or the sermons given by the Buddha to these devas to gain some knowledge and understanding. That means devas could not settle their own problems. They had to approach a person who gains enlightenment. So what are these advantages? When you observe very carefully, the number of living beings exist on the earth or in the water. Human beings are very limited, very few. Now, mosquitoes, ants, white ants, and so many other creatures, and animals in the jungle, and fish in the water, when you compare with human life, human beings are very few. Today, they say more than 4,000 millions. But when you compare 4,000 millions, you can see this is a very limited number. Because amongst other living beings, countless, numerous, endless. Dullabhanta manusatta, the Buddha says. Becoming a human being is very, very difficult, very rare. Why? This is a gradual development, evolution. Life process and mental process must be developed up to the maximum level to become human beings. But after becoming human beings, if we misuse this, again fall down. It is very easy to go down. And it will take such a long period for us to climb up to the same level. Take for instance, to reach the top of the Mount Everest. Very few people tried and reached there. We can understand the difficulties of climbing that mountain. Even at the risk of their life, they have reached. Even after reaching the top of that mountain, if we do not take a special precaution to maintain our physical body on the top, it is very easy to come down. So climbing is difficult, but falling down is not difficult. So in the same manner, if we misuse this human life after reaching this higher state, very easily again we have to go down. The real meaning of the Dhamma, the word used by the Buddha for Buddhism. In English language we use religion and Buddhism, but these words never give the real meaning, what the Buddha tried to convey. Dhamma is a very rich word, very significant word. Chatusu apayesu ca vatta dukkhesu ca apatamane kattva dhareti iti dhamm. Adhita definitions. Chatusu apaya, four kinds of unfortunate places where living beings experience more sufferings, where they lead a miserable life. Animals, a spirit, ghost, and devils. Hell, ghost and devils we can make into one group, and hell. The method taught by the Buddha for us to uphold is called Dhamma. Dhamma means whole. This earth is called Dharani. Dharani means that which holds everything. This is earth. In the same way, the method taught by the Buddha for us to uphold, to practice, is to hold us, to support us, without allowing us to fall down, or without allowing us to become humans or devils or ghosts or hell. This method is called Dhamma. So the meaning of practicing this Dhamma, to escape from such unfortunate states, at the same time to maintain our human dignity and to cultivate our way of life to find out our final salvation. Again, further details are given there. Vatta dukkhesu ca apadamane kattva dhari. Vatta means sansara vatta. the wheel of existence. Since our life is very uncertain, in whichever form, either as human beings or devas or brahmas or any other forms of living being, life is uncertain, can be mislead or misuse, abuse at any time. Therefore, it is very dangerous for us to exist for a long period in this wheel of existence. We have to face more worries, more sufferings, more problems, more difficulties, more unhappiness, more disappointment. In our day-to-day life, we experience all these problems. It makes no difference whether we are rich or poor, whether we are educated or not. Human life is subject to all these unfortunate occurrences, natural occurrences, worldly conditions. And the nature of human mind is so uncertain that mind can misuse to destroy the whole world. See how powerful it is. One man's mind is enough to destroy the whole world. That is mental energy. That is why that must be guided properly. This is the uncertainty in our worldly life. Dhamma, or the teachings of the Buddha, is important for us to understand the uncertainty in our life, the difficulties and problems that we have to face. Certain problems were created by us. Certain problems are created by the elements and energies or cosmic energies or planets. Certain problems are natural occurrences like earthquake or volcanic eruptions, disasters. We are leading a life in spite of various problems and troubles and disturbances and sufferings. Every minute we are thinking, working to take precaution. Otherwise, 1 minute is enough for us to face death. If we neglect this life that we regard as the most precious thing, if we neglect this for 1 minute, that is enough to face untimely death. This clearly shows the nature of uncertainty in our life. Again, whatever we have, whatever we gain, or by enjoying worldly pleasures up to the maximum level, still every day we are grumbling, worrying, and feel some sort of insecurity feeling in our life. So there is no happiness. there is no satisfaction. Everywhere, grumbling and worrying and suffering, and all are in fear. Some are in the dark, some are very cunning and cruel, some are very intelligent, but the most valuable human potentials are there. Therefore, there must be somebody to guide us. Otherwise, because of our ignorance, we make mistakes. We disturb others. Then we have to suffer. However, human beings can understand this. We make mistake. It does not mean that we cannot understand that it is wrong. We know it is wrong. When our minds were tempted or irritated, we commit mistake. But we know it is wrong. But other living beings do not know that. They have no such mental power or intelligence to understand their mistake. By realizing this, we try to keep away from bad things and try to cultivate as much as good things to promote our life, to go higher and higher, to reduce more burdens that we are carrying. Our minds are very heavy because there are so many worldly problems, family problems, and internal and external problems. And physical body itself is the biggest problem. We have to look after and attend day and night. So, life has no time to attend to life. Spending more time to attend to a physical body. This is called ignorance. Because we take this as life. We never think this is a house, shelter for that life to exist. Life process mislead our senses, our mind, then persuade, force our physical body to do something. In fact, according to the Buddha, what he says about the physical body? This body is just like a boat, sailing boat. You have to use this body just like a boat, cross the great oceans of samsara to see the end of your suffering. This is the only thing that you can do by using this physical body. So we carry this wherever we go. Therefore we must know how to make use of it to see the end of our suffering, but not to create more and more evil things to suffer more. Kullupamang bhikkhave dhammang desissami. The Dhamma taught by the Buddha compared with a raft or a boat to cross a river. So the physical body also we use only to reach the final goal. Because there are many things for us to think and understand, many things for us to say, many things for us to do. This is the way how we use this physical body. The mind is commanding, direct. Then we follow the instructions given by the mind. Again, we have too much attachment, craving towards our body. We are willing to spend millions of dollars to save our life. But this attachment towards the physical body creates enormous sufferings, disturbances, disappointment. Therefore we have to use this physical body, knowing the nature of the formations of physical body, the nature of existence of physical body, which is subject to changes, decay and disappearance. So disappointment or sufferings we create because of the attachments and craving that we have developed toward the physical body. If you can reduce this attachment to a certain extent, then we will be free from various kinds of sufferings and worries and fear and disturbances. Take a simple example. When you travel, you go and stay in a hotel, luxurious hotel. While staying in that hotel, in that room, you do not develop your attachment toward this hotel. You do not crave for that hotel or for that room. So when you want to go away, you never worry about this hotel. With cheerfulness, you can go out from this hotel and continue your journey. Exactly in the same manner, we have to regard this physical body. The body come and occupy this, the life come and occupy the body. Beloved. Then we develop craving and attachment towards the body. Then the sufferings and disappointment, unsatisfactoriness appear because of this. So we have to treat this physical body exactly that hotel. In our journey, in this samsara, we take rest for a certain period. Then we occupy a body. Stay there for a certain period in that body. When the time comes for us to depart from this body, those who have not developed their craving and attachment can go away peacefully without worrying, without crying and without disturbance. So, our life process proceed, continue the journey, but the physical body remains here. But we do not worry about that. And this understanding can settle, can overcome, can avoid so many problems that we are maintaining in our mind, many kind of worries and fear and disturbances through this understanding. Becoming a human being is a golden opportunity for us to make use of this life for our future, for our betterment, for our development, for our peace and satisfaction. If we really use this human life without abusing, then if this human existence or human life come into existence in a country where people are virtuous, righteous and religious minded, then very easily that environment influences us to be good, to be religious, to be righteous. Not necessary for us to struggle for that, to be good. Environment is very important. That environment influences directly our mind, our way of life. Then easily we can follow that method. If the people are bad and wicked and cunning and very dangerous, that atmosphere, that environment also influence our way of life. Slowly we also get into their way and follow their way of life. So the time where living beings uphold the virtuous and righteous or cultured or religious way of life influence us to lead a peaceful, happy, contented life. This is the second advantage of becoming a human being. Third one, when you observe the whole world, you can see discriminations, fortunate and unfortunate human beings. When you compare your way of life with others, you can gain some sort of happiness and satisfactions and peace. There are many human beings in millions. Their senses are not normal. Many people cannot see things properly. Many people cannot hear. Many people cannot talk. Many people are sick throughout their life. Many people are mad. You can see how they had to struggle, how they suffer, how unfortunate they are. Then you can understand, certainly you are very fortunate. You can see, you can hear, you can understand certain things. You have sound mind, you are not mad. So 5 senses are clear, your minds are clear. So if rebirth takes place as human being with all the good qualities, then you can make use of this human life for betterment, for your development, to find out the aim of your life. Again, how many millions of human beings are starving today and dying? without food. How many millions of human beings are living in this world who are sick from their birth up to last breath, suffering from various kinds of sicknesses? How many millions of human beings are there who cannot find out a single piece of cloth to cover their nakedness? How many millions are there who are living under the trees or pavement or roadside without any shelter? Their birth, their death, both take place. The pavement or under the tree, no shelter. Again compare your way of life with them. How fortunate you are. You have enough food, enough clothing, enough medicine, enough shelter. Certain sicknesses, yes, appear from time to time. It is natural. So there are many things that you can satisfy with this life. When you compare with others who suffer, again, you have to think deeply. How you got all these facilities, privileges? It is not given by any God. This is the result of your own effort that you have made during your previous births. That simple sayings of the Buddha that I always repeat, I remind for you to remember. We are the results of what we were. We will be the results of what we are. Contemplate on this. Today we are enjoying our life without facing many problems and troubles and sufferings and disturbances. It is due to the good karma, good deeds that we have done during our previous births. By knowing this, we try to cultivate more and more good deeds within this lifetime, because we know this is not the end, or this is not the first and the last life. This life continues. After our death, when rebirth takes place in one of those 31 planes of existence, that life becomes fortunate or unfortunate life according to our way of life, what we have done. That means every minute we are molding our next life. Every thought, every word, every action, moral or immoral, we are molding and molding and molding our next existence. When the departed consciousness transmitted from here again mix up with external elements and energies, the formations of another life take place. That is called rebirth. In that existence are the good and bad karmas. Then according to these karmas, life becomes either miserable or pleasurable, fortunate or unfortunate. That means we are solely responsible for this life. This is Buddhism. Don't go and pray and worship asking another person to send you to heaven or to stop going to hell. It doesn't work. Life is in your hand. You can use this properly if you know how to handle it. If not, very easily you can misuse for your personal benefit or to gain something, if not to disturb others. This is the way how we have to handle this. Number 5, when we come to know that we have not committed any of those 5 mortal sins, there are 5 regarded as mortal sins. But all the other bad karmas can be overcome, can suspend for the time being or within this lifetime. This is the nature of karmic law. But if we have committed one of these 5, there is nobody in this world who can overcome the bad effect of these karma. Immediately after their death, rebirth takes place, one of the most unfortunate state of existence. That is called hell. What are those 5? By killing our own father, by killing our own mother, by killing a holy arahant or enlightened person, by creating schism. Schism means division or making enemies, 2 groups of monks or religious people, persuading them, carrying tales here and there, and divide the holy order into 2 groups and make them enemies. And this karma also belongs to these mortal sins. Again, creating injuries to shed blood from the Buddha's body, because no one can kill a Buddha. Buddhas must face natural death, but people can disturb him by beating or cutting or using some sort of method to torture him. Only one person has done this, Devadatta. By hurling a stone, he cut, or that piece of stone cut the Buddha's feet and started bleeding. So he created this bad karma. So after committing one of these 5, any amount of good karma that you have accumulated won't be able to overcome that particular bad karma until you pay and finish. There is a limited period for that. King Ajatasattu, a young king, he was misled by Devadatta. Devadatta influenced this young prince and asked him to kill his own father to become the ruler of the country. And Devadatta said, I am going to kill the Buddha. so that both of us can rule the whole country. That poor prince accepted his advice. So what he did, he used to hide little bit of food here and there and given to the king to eat. When they come to know this, appointed special security guard to examine her body. She used to hide little bit of food here and there and given to the king to eat. When they come to know this, appointed special security guard to examine her body, whether she carries any food or hiding something. Then what she did? She applied honey and butter or ghee in her body after taking bath. And they found out there is no food in her body. So when he entered into the prison cell, she asked the king to lick her body because there were honey and ghee and butter. Later they found out that also, completely stopped. So he had to suffer in that prison and had to face death because of his son. So one day, somebody came and reported. This young prince was married at that time. Your wife has given birth to a baby boy, first child. He was so happy, he was jumping, and the mother was in front of him. Then he told, I think when I was born, my father also enjoyed like this. Then the mother, the queen, told him, do you know, when you were a small child, you had a boil here in this finger. A medicine could not stop the pain. The father, the king, what he did, he sucked his finger, then he stopped crying. A small baby. So one day when he was sucking this finger, that boil burst in the mouth. The pus was there. But he did not take out the finger to throw out the pus. He swallowed. Because he has so much love and attachment toward his own child. This is the way how your father treated you. Now you can understand how you treat your father. Then he opened his eyes. Immediately he asked somebody to go and open the prison cell and release him. When they reached, the king was dead and gone. That is how he committed this mortal sin, by killing his own father. Later, he has become a very, very active Buddhist by supporting, to promote, to protect Buddhism in India. I think his idea is, by doing so, he will be able to overcome the bad karma that he has committed. But it doesn't work in that way. Any amount of good karma that you perform after committing one of these five, you cannot topple, you cannot overcome, must be. But all the other karmas are subject to change. That means by using your effort, your intelligence, your wisdom, by doing more and more good karmas, by maintaining some sort of a healthy mental attitude, you will be able to overcome the effect of bad karma. But you cannot wash them away. They remain. When the time comes, they know how to attack you, affect you. But if you are intelligent enough, you know how to continue your life. You continue your religious way of life, perform more and more meritorious deeds life after life, then the bad karmas cannot catch you. They become powerless. But they follow just like your shadow. So you attain higher stage of sainthood, attain nirvana, then all the karmas disappear. What happened to Devadatta, who has killed more than 1,000 human beings? Later he became a Buddhist and followed the Buddha. He was ordained as a monk, attained arahanthood and attained nirvana. The bad karmas had no chance to affect, since he has not committed any of these mortal sins. So he had the chance to attain arahanthood. This is the nature of karma. So, if you have not committed any of these 5 mortal sins, still we will be able to attain higher stage of sainthood and to attain nirvana also. That human mind can adjust and develop by knowing this situation. The next one, confidence and devotions in the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. It is difficult to cultivate this. Although we perform all our religious duties, ceremonies, meritorious deeds, our confidence in the Buddha and Dhamma and Sangha is very poor. That means our understanding. We know Buddha is a great man. We know he has done tremendous service to mankind. We know he is a holy man. That's all. But our confidence is not very deep. While maintaining such belief in our mind, some others come and try to influence your mind, turn your mind towards another religious religion. You may follow, because you have not established unshakable faith or confidence in the Buddha. Dhamma. Although we try to learn something, enrich your knowledge to understand the truth, still you have so many confusion, misconceptions or misunderstanding, your own imagination. So the knowledge of the Dhamma is still not clear. Therefore your confidence in the Dhamma is not strong enough, still changeable, very shaky. Then the faith and confidence that we have to develop in the Sangha community. For the last 2,500 years, the Sangha community protected the Sasana or the Dhamma taught by the Buddha and promoted, imparted this knowledge to others, guided them by teaching, preaching, advising, by attending to their various religious activities to guide the mankind. So by considering their good qualities and the virtues, their religious way of life, we develop some sort of confidence. Sangha community does not mean individual monks. The behavior or the character of certain monks are not very healthy, satisfactory. But we should not take individually. We must take from the beginning, Sariputta, Moggallana, Rahula, Ananda, Kasyapa, the holy order of the monks, the Sangha community. So develop understanding. Then these qualities you can maintain, this confidence you can maintain by using your human mind, but others cannot understand. Next one, those who were born in a country where the Buddha exists, if the appearance of the Buddha is there in that country, and those who were born in such country or such area are very fortunate. Why? He is the only teacher who can understand our mentality. Arahantas cannot do this. Pacceka Buddhas also cannot do this. Other religious teachers also cannot do this. Devas and gods also cannot do this. To understand what we can understand, how far we can understand, our understanding capacity, and what are the hindrances that exist which create confusion in our mind, he can understand. What you have done during your previous birth, how far you have developed your knowledge and understanding, what are the misconceptions that you are holding in your mind. All these things he examines, just like taking X-ray one after the other. Everything is there. Then he knows how to pave the way by adapting some sort of technique according to your way of thinking. When you study the 45 years, how he preached, how he guided others, how he could manage to tame and train most wicked and cruel and dangerous or stupid human beings because of this technique. Various techniques according to their way of thinking. When he went to train devils or cannibals all over, people were scared of him. Everybody shivered. When people mentioned his name, the Buddha visited. He wanted to catch the Buddha and kill him. The Buddha had a very big challenge. He stood very firmly like a giant. Then Alavaka, the cannibal or the devil, could not imagine another human being come and stand in front of me challenging me. Who is this man? Then he had to reduce his pride, his talent, his skill and ability and everything. Finally he had to surrender. This is the technique. Then he became one of his followers. Angulimala, when he was murdering innocent people in the jungle as a bandit, he went to see him and wanted to kill the Buddha. Started running by holding his sword to cut. what did he do? He walked slowly. And this Angulimala, young man, also started running and running and running, but he cannot come nearer to the Buddha. Allow him to run a long distance. Still he could not reach the Buddha. This is a miracle, because he knew simply by preaching at the beginning he cannot train his mind. Alavata also, he adapted that method, stood very firmly to reduce his pride. And then he accepted the Buddha as a great teacher. He never preached to anybody not knowing, without observing the nature of the mind. So Angulimala now cannot run anymore, he is so tired. Then asked the Buddha to stop. Then the Buddha knew, this is the time for me to talk. He said, the Buddha, I have stopped long ago. You are the one who runs. Now this young man cannot understand this. Then yet can you explain actually what does it mean? How can you say you have stopped? I saw you are walking. You did not stop. He said, I have stopped committing evil, killing other living beings long ago. That is why I told you I have stopped. I told you, you are the one who runs. That means you are going killing and destroying valuable human life. That is the meaning. Alright. Then tell me, why I could not come nearer to you to catch you? Because you did not run. You walk in normal way. But I, by using my full effort, tried to catch you, running and running and running, but I could not come nearer to you. Why? Why? Because you run. If you want to catch me, you have to stop your running, then you can catch me. See the technique here. He surrendered, threw away his sword. Can I follow you? Yes. Went to the temple, asked the monks to ordain this bandit, this murderer. The king also scared to go and catch this man. The Buddha could manage to train him. So, the advantage is the Buddha can understand our weaknesses. He can understand our talents. What he does, just pave the way according to our way of life. So if we are not ready to open our mind and listen to the Buddha cannot do anything. How many millions and billions of other human beings were there during the Buddha's time, but they were not benefited. They did not gain anything because they are not ready. Their minds are not ready. When a patient is very, very sick, his receptive power is completely gone. His organs are not functioning properly. At that time, you can invite one of the most brilliant, a specialist, to treat him. He can bring the most effective medicine, an injection. But do you think that specialist can save this man's life? Because no receptive power. Organs are not functioning properly. So that specialist cannot do anything. In the same manner, although the Buddha is enlightened, the Buddha can understand everything, but there is no grasping power in your mind, the Buddha cannot do anything. He cannot inject this Dhamma by force into his mind. He can open his mind, but he must absorb. Then he gains the enlightenment. So there is no such thing as by the grace of the Buddha, power of the Buddha, that people can understand the Dhamma or the truth. We had to prepare the background in our mind. So the Buddha just can show the path. The next one, the opportunities of having rebirth in an area or in a country where people uphold the Dhamma. Naturally, we also follow them without any difficulty. Supposing people who are stay around your area or your country or in your town are very kind, very religious, very virtuous, who do not disturb others, never mislead or bluff and swindle others, then you also follow the same method. Without struggling to be good, to be religious, easily you also can follow that religious way of life. Next one, a country where the Buddha appeared and revealed the Dhamma in details for us to get rid of our doubts, suspicion and uncertainty. Within this world cycle, altogether the 5 Buddhas appear. Four of them already appeared and one more to be appeared, Maitreya, before the end of this world cycle. Kasyapa was the last Buddha before the Gautama the Buddha. But Kasyapa Buddha's Dhamma or his Buddha Sasana or his message existed only for a short period. After that, completely forgotten by the people. That is the meaning of time factors. At that time, people were not very wicked, very cruel, very cunning, but religious minded. Therefore, Kasyapa Buddha did not explain the Dhamma in details, not necessary. After some time, people have forgotten everything. So his Sasana did not last for a long period. But Gautama the Buddha, when he appeared 2500 years ago, at that time, lot of corruptions, immoral practices, wicked and cruel and harmful human minds, and he had to point out all the social ill and danger of immoral practices. So 45 years he went on preaching by pointing all the existing human weaknesses and immoral practices and encouraging people to maintain human intelligence. So his Dharma, his message still exists. So the legend is that this Dhamma exists 5,000 years, another 2,500. After that what will happen? People slowly forget and neglect, just ignore. There is a beautiful saying in Sanskrit language. Yada yada hi dharmasya grani bhavati bharata. When the Dhamma, or the righteous way of life, started to decay, decline. Having seen this situation, the God, according to Hindu mythology or Hindu philosophy or religious life, the God, they have three main gods: Brahma, Vishnu, Ishvara. Brahma is the creator God. Vishnu is the God who maintains, who protects, who looks after this creation. Ishvara is the most powerful God who can do anything. But when he comes to know that there are more evil and cruel and wicked and immoral practices among the human beings, he completely destroys. Three kinds of God. One God to create, another God to look after, and another one to destroy when people are corrupted and useless. Therefore they say, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is in Bhagavad Gita, in Sanskrit. Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect cultured, religious human beings. Vinasaya cha duskritam, to destroy all those wicked and cruel people. Dharma sansthapanarthaya, for the establishment of dharma or sasana. Sambhavami yuge yuge, I appear from time to time. Yuge yuge, from time to time. This belief is very common. The God exists, but from time to time he appears on this earth by taking different forms, either as human beings or any other forms. But this is not Buddhism. Anyway, they have given the credit to the Buddha also, introducing Buddha as one of the incarnations of this God. The Buddha is the incarnation of God, came down to this world to protect others and destroy wicked people. The Buddha says, I never destroy anybody. My duty is to guide, but not to destroy. So there will be another one before the end of this world cycle. Christianity also teaches second coming of Jesus. That means still there is hope. Hinduism says before the end of this world cycle, the last incarnations of God will appear. To the 9th incarnation was the Buddha. The 10th one will be the last. That is Kalki, the name of this incarnation. So the God appears once more to protect the religious people, to guide them and to destroy immoral and wicked things. Buddhism also says within one world cycle few Buddhas appear. But during certain world cycle, only one Buddha. Buddhas are very rare. Because no one can mold or create Buddhas. By cultivating, developing, using their own effort for a long period. So one of those human beings becomes the Buddha. This belief that some people maintain reincarnations of Buddha, this later development, not in the Buddha's teaching. Buddhas have no reincarnation. And according to him, there will be another Buddha before the end of this world cycle, Maitreya. When the teachings of the Buddha started to decay and down, that means human beings neglect nobody to uphold or to practice the real teachings. They introduce more irreligious practices as religious practices, more immoral practices as religious practices. It is happening all over the world. Then Dhamma slowly disappears. Then in time to come, the Maitreya Buddha will appear again. He start to open their mind and make them to understand where the mistakes are there and what are the wrong deeds that they are committing, what are the good things that they have to practice, what are the religious principles they have to follow. Another Buddha will appear. So when the formations of another world cycle appear, again there will be Buddhas from time to time. The belief that some people maintain the same Buddha come down from Nirvana and appear. This is also another mythological belief incorporated into Buddhism. Not the same person. When once a Buddha or Arahanta entered into Nirvana, that is their final birth, and after that no more reincarnations or no more rebirth for them. They have stopped everything. Another person who has cultivated his way of life become a Buddha. And we do not know how many more are there in the waiting list to become Buddha. And you also can cultivate your way of life to become Buddhas one day, if you really practice. Therefore, the Buddhahood is not limited to a particular group of people. It is open to everybody. But our effort, our understanding, our purity, our knowledge, our wisdom are important. Because no one can appoint another person as a Buddha. Just like a doctor cannot appoint his son as a doctor if that son did not study medicine. A lawyer cannot appoint his son to become a lawyer unless he studied law. In the same manner, a Buddha cannot appoint or create another Buddha. He can tell what to do to become a Buddha. Therefore, we have to work, we have to use our effort and understanding and depend on purity and impurity of the mind. The time where the pure Dhamma exists. Now this is also an important point. In the name of the Dhamma, in the name of Buddhism, today, all over the world, there are so many kinds of belief and practices and traditions and rites and rituals and ceremonies and performances are going on. But real Dhamma is not there. Not only in Buddhism. You can see theatres and mosques and places of worship or temples are fully crowded. People are going on praying and worshipping and chanting, but their religious knowledge is very shallow. Nothing. With some sort of ulterior motive, they go and pray and worship and perform religious rites and rituals. But there is no real mental discipline, virtues, not even humane qualities in their mind. They are so selfish, so cunning, so wicked, and they disturb more. But they pray and worship and do some offerings and perform religious ceremonies. That is why here the pure Dhamma taught by the Buddha must exist without distorting. For the last 2,500 years, so many schools of Buddhism come into existence in various countries. They have introduced so many beliefs and practices in the name of the Dhamma. But when you study very carefully, you can see there is no connection with the basic teachings of the Buddha. They are distorted, completely distorted. Innocent people follow them blindly, thinking this is the Dhamma taught by the Buddha. So, we will be very fortunate human beings if we can exist the time where pure Dhamma, the real teachings of the Buddha, exist. Again, in Mangala Sutta, Patirupa Desa Vasocha Puppecha Kata Punyata. Suitable environment or neighbors or cultured and civilized people for us to associate, an environment for us to maintain peace and satisfaction in our life. If these facilities are there, then very easily we can use our human life without committing evil, without abusing our human life, by maintaining the Dhamma taught by the Buddha. Now what is happening today? Although we are religious minded, although we want to be religious, although we want to be good, but the society where we live, people that we associate are not religious minded, not understanding people. They have more selfish, cunning and cruel motives in their mind. Immoral practices have become very, very common. Shame and fear disappear from the man's mind. Then the difficulty of upholding religious principles to maintain the Dhamma, you can understand. Always you come and complain. If we are honest, others try to come and take the advantage of us. They regard us as fools. If we are kind-hearted, cunning people come and take the advantage by bluffing us. Very easily they can bluff us. If we practice patience and tolerance as highest humane qualities, others take the advantage to come and bully us, regard us as stupid people. And this is the nature of the society. That is why it is difficult for us to be good amongst all those cunning and wicked and selfish people. Even then, we should not give up hope. Just because others are wicked and cunning, we also must follow them, to cope up with them, associate with them. In spite of all these disturbances, if we can uphold, maintain our principle, we are very fortunate. Such potentials are there in our mind to maintain our dignity in spite of various problems and disturbances. I think it is very late now, so we are discuss about 10 advantages that we can enjoy our human life if the facilities are available, environment is suitable, and the society is healthy, and the country is peaceful. If these facilities are not there, then very easily our minds also turn towards the other side. No more controlling power. Then we also become wicked, become cunning, become selfish, and no humane qualities, and we have to pay the price for that. Others are not responsible for that. Therefore we should not say, just because others are bad, others are wicked, we also must follow them. Within our capacity, within our knowledge, within our understanding, we must know what to do and what not to do. Try as much as possible. Then slowly you can cultivate life after life. You cannot become perfect, holy human beings overnight or even within this lifetime. Still there are so many weaknesses and so many temptations and so many disturbances, many confusions, many misunderstandings. These things we can clarify, we can verify, we can cleanse the mind life after life if we continue this way of life. This you can understand very clearly why it has taken such a long period for Buddha to gain his enlightenment. Because of the evil practices in the society, it is very difficult to lead a religious life. I think this is enough for the day. So, what is the question also? It's a very good question. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattya. This is your aspiration. This is your determination. Whatever we determine and cultivate as our aspiration by the virtues of the merits that we have accrued, let us have a better life hereafter and life after life to maintain our noble way of life until we attain nirvana. So if we can maintain this determination or aspiration while performing your religious duties and meritorious deeds without any difficulty, somehow or the other you get into the same track. If you neglect this, then again you may go back to jungle. It will take long time for you to come out from the jungle to the correct path. So the aspiration is important. When you study the Buddha's previous birth, first period for a long time he maintained only manopanidhāya, this aspiration to become a Buddha. was only in his mind. Later, he started to tell others. Vachi Panida, walk, word. I am doing all these good deeds, observe all these religious principles in order to become a Buddha. Second period. Kaya Panida. Kaya means body. I am doing all these things, all these good deeds, meritorious deeds to become a Buddha. That is his aspiration. So if we also maintain the same aspiration, then easily we can continue without facing many difficulties or problems. Akasatta Chabummatta Devanaga Mahindika Punyantang Anumuditra Chirang Rakkantu Loka Sasanam Nitta Utachyamhe Sambhatang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Numodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Asatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Hetu Ca Pito Bhavatu Luko Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idang Jnati Nang Hotu Sukita Huntu Jatayo Imina Punya Kammena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Patya